Come on down to Cinemassacre Video, where selection is the name of the game. We got comedy, drama, action, horror, movies for kids, movies for mom and dad. We got the newest releases, the hottest video games, even Laserdisc. Having a problem making a selection? Our friendly staff is always there to help out, and with our state-of-the-art database software, it's easy to find exactly what you're looking for, even if it sucks. Cinemassacre Video in the Voorhees Memorial Shopping Center next to Caldor.
Yeah, so Predator, the plot is pretty simple. Just army men in the jungle are getting stalked by an extraterrestrial killer who hunts for sport.
1987, directed by John McTiernan, who would direct Die Hard afterwards. He's probably well known for Die Hard versus this movie, but he was the du jour action director based upon really these two movies. Mm-hmm. To me, they're some of the best action movies ever.
Yeah. And Predator, it's not just an action movie. It's also science fiction. It's also horror. I mean, it basically starts off like a war film, and then it turns into like a slasher film set in the jungle. Yeah. But the killer is an alien. Even wears a mask. It's a lot like, Jason Voorhees. There was so much suspense the first time I saw this as a kid, where at first he's like invisible, and then every now and then you get a glimpse of him, and then as it goes on, they give you a little more and more, and then finally, toward the end, when he unmasked himself, that was like a big moment. Like now, everybody knows what the Predator looks like, but back then,
that was a shock to
people.
The
face with the mouth coming
out. It's like
Krampus
with fangs. Mm-hmm. What was interesting about this film, yes, it's an action, horror, survival film, which isn't really its own genre. There's not many that are done like this. So this is almost, to me, a creation of a genre. And unlike horror films where you have protagonists that are not equipped to deal with the threat, these are highly trained special forces soldiers that if something can take down these guys, this is the ultimate horror villain.
They have the minigun, they have grenade launchers, they're all heavily armed. They're all huge dudes, too. Like, they're the best trained guys there are.
They're highly trained.
Yeah. And it's just like, that's what I like about it, too, is you could have marketed this movie as, like, it's just an Arnold...
action
film and an action movie, and only show the beginning parts in the trailer, and then people go and see it, and they're like, "Wait, what? This is like an alien movie now?" Like all of a sudden,
it's like, such a great twist.
Yeah, it's just, and all you see is like they're going in when they go into the and they find the skinned bodies. And they think like, wow, these gorillas are like messed up guys.
Yeah,
like, they're just skinning people and everything. And meanwhile, it's the Predator like going around just like destroying people as they're going into the and that whole scene too. And I guess we should back up. We got to go. We should talk about like the beginning, the meetings and everything.
Okay, yeah.
The iconic.
You got Carl Weathers in here.
Yeah,
Apollo
Weathers,
Creed. Yeah.
Dylan and Dutch.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
Which we recreated for the Yode watch commercial kind of. With the watches, but I think one of us had to wear our watch like on the other side of our wrist. I don't know, this movie for Arnold, I don't feel like this is his most like everybody thinks of Arnold or thinks of Predator when they think of Arnold, but this is definitely one of his most Arnold-y movies.
Yeah, it is.
I would actually disagree, and this is why. This is one of the only Arnold movies from that era where he's not larger than life. He to me, he's toned down. He only has a couple of little quips like the stick around when he throws the knife. I was like, that's out of place, because for the rest of the movie, he's just this guy commanding the units. And like we said before, he's not the biggest guy versus Jesse Ventura or Sonny Landham. They're just all jacked guys, Carl Weathers. And it really comes across as this is a real military unit. There's no one guy that's weaker than the other. They talk about, they allude to past events of things they've done. They've gotten in and out of trouble. But these are all guys that love and depend on each other. It's a very nice look of how a military unit like that probably functions and behaves. There's no like, well, this guy's an asshole, we don't like this guy. No, they all like each other.
Yeah. I mean, some of them have different personalities. Like there's the jokesters, like the Jesse Ventura, like he's like, giving them the tobacco or whatever, and he's like saying like, this stuff will make you a sexual tyrannosaurus.
Yeah, sexual tyrannosaurus.
Like, he's like giving him a hard time for not, joining him in it. And then there's the pussy joke guy where he like jokes about, whatever.
Hawkins,
it's
Hawkins.
Like, and
who he's the one
Shane Black wrote, who plays Hawkins, the first one to get killed. He wrote Predator, and he actually went on to do lots of other things like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and he also did Iron Man 3. So he has a pedigree. I believe in the film someone's holding a Sergeant Rock comic, and he was supposed to be writing that, and that was
Oh,
something
okay.
that Arnold, I think, was supposed to star in as well. So, yeah, he was on set, I think, to help doctor the script as well, but they kill him off fairly early in the film.
Well, I wonder if he wrote that in though. Like maybe it's like I want this thing to just kill me. You know that because how many times can you like write yourself a death scene? You know.
Well, he's the only one
to be. Yeah.
He's also the only one out of all that crew. You can tell he's the smallest guy out of all of them. He's sort of like the communications guy.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like 6'4" and jacked.
Yeah.
To the hilt.
I really love that scene when they're all firing into the jungle and none of them know what they're firing at.
Yeah.
It's just this senseless, like macho, just shoot them up, like whatever it is, like if it moves, kill it. And they're just all shooting. And then they just like, they either run out of bullets or something. They're all just like looking around like, what the hell? Like they destroyed nothing but trees. And they're like, you're just as confused watching as they are.
The thing too, they go from being like going into that town where the guerrilla fighters are and to save the hostages, and they just waste everyone, and then none of them even get really hurt. I think Jesse Ventura gets some, and he's like, "Oh, I ain't got time to bleed," and all that. But they go from destroying everything to now being hunted one by one, not knowing what's going on, and becoming weak. I don't feel like Arnold's really ever the underdog in a lot of his movies. He's always an imposing force. Even in Terminator 2, he kind of is against the T-1000, but he always seems like he's almost on equal grounds. With this, it's like you don't know. Like he is scared of the Predator.
Yeah, I mean he's the final chase like victim where it follows the format that was set almost 10 years earlier with Halloween, and actually even before that, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where there's always a final chase. It's always like this monster or killer who's a lot stronger or like more deadly, but then the person who's the victim has to turn the tables and like actually fight back and outsmart the killer.
Well, what's interesting is that it showed that it was like primal man. He has to go back to bows and arrows.
Yeah.
He made spears.
Rocks and
because
logs.
Because gradually they figure out that this is, first of all, they thought that the guerrillas were attacking him at first. There was reference, I think, like Jim Hopper as the one that went in before him. They never saw him again.
And they were just gone.
So they were questioning each other. These guerrillas, they're outsmarting us. And then Carl Weathers' character's like, oh, these are just a couple of guys out there screwing with us and killing us. So eventually they figure out, no, this is something else. When they see the net and they don't know what's in it because it's camouflage, and then it's real quick, you can see it. And then when Arnold Dutch, he swims to shore, gets all the mud, and for the first time you see the Predator jump in the water. He totally uncloaks. You can see him, and then he's like, okay, I don't have guns, aren't going to do anything against this guy.
That's the one thing too, I guess, like when bringing up the slasher film, the slasher is always going against teenagers and way weaker characters, but this is the first time where the slasher is going after trained killer. These guys are there to kill you.
Yeah, it's funny how the title's Predator and you see Schwarzenegger and you would assume
think he is.
But he's not the Predator, he's the prey.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And they die in pretty great ways. Let me tell you.
Oh, absolutely.
And I really like how it ends when the Predator decides like he's going to fight him without any of his powers, like he's
with honor.
Like the Predator has that intelligence where he knows exactly what he's doing, and at this point, he has the infrared vision. He has like the stuff he like shoots out of his arms or whatever, and like.
He has laser on the shoulder and stuff.
Yeah, the laser. He's got all these powers, and then he decides like fuck that. I'm doing none of this. I'm taking off the mask, and like we're just gonna go like head to head. And the Predator wants the challenge. Like it doesn't
it's a
want
sportsman. It's like it is. It's a hunter. The Predator is there to hunt. It wants competition. And it keeps trophies.
Yeah.
When it rips out the spine and skull of I think it was Billy.
Yeah, Billy.
And he like cuts his chest and everything.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not this mindless alien that you come to notice in movies where it's just a killing machine. It is like a thinking being.
It will not kill anything unless it thinks it's worthy of the hunt. Throughout the series, it has to be a worthy opponent, someone armed or someone that can be dangerous in and of themselves. What's interesting also about this movie is how the production of the Predator creature didn't start there. Originally, it was like this reddish ant creature.
Really?
And starring in that role was supposed to be Van Damme.
Really?
So Van Damme was on set, and they put him in this ant-looking suit, because originally they wanted the Predator to be sort of like stealth-like and jumping around and doing that. So I think by necessity, and also it worked out great with the film, that once they fired Van Damme and realized that this ant suit's ridiculous, then they went, I believe, got Stan Winston to do the Predator design. They were already filming. They were into filming. So how you gradually learn what the Predator looks like was not, I think, totally by design. They had to, because they had it on the fly. Think about, okay, this isn't working. We need something else. So I think if you look at some behind the scenes footage, I believe, so like when Hawkins is getting dragged away and it's camouflage, I think that was the original, this reddish ant suit.
Okay.
And they kept that in the film because at that point it's camouflage. By the way, by the way, the effects of the light bending is incredible.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible for that. So it worked out great. The gradual reveal of your villain / alien creature.
Yeah. It is such like a subtle effect that just works really well. The stealth is just because it's like you see it but you don't. It's like it looks like heat waves or something like that. But it's so like it did become like such that like iconic thing about the movie is just that weird warped look that it gives it and everything. Yeah. The Predator itself, I think like the shoulder cannon is probably my favorite part of it.
With the 3 red dot targeting
just that,
system.
Like, and my favorite part of the movie is when what's a guy who always shaves his face all the time? Mac.
Played by Billy Duke.
Yeah.
And before you get to there, I like how they had a little relationship with Jesse Ventura's character. Like they were kind of the closest together.
Yeah. I love when he's trying to find him and everything and you see the laser just go up on him and they do that shot from the back of the head where just his head explodes onto the camera.
Yes.
That when I first saw it, because the thing is, there isn't that much. Like, there's a couple scenes before that are gory, not too bad, but that was the first scene I think in the whole movie because there was the skin guys, but you see that you don't actually see the carnage of it.
Sure.
This is just blood, just flying into the camera, like. And it was like nasty looking.
And then there's the guy with the chest. That's all like I forget which character it was, but like his chest was like hollowed out.
Yeah,
and they turn over his body. Yeah, and I remember seeing that as a kid at a pretty young age. I mean, this came out in '87. I mean, I saw it sometime on video after that. And I remember seeing when that body gets turned around and his like chest is hollowed out. I was like, oh my God, like whoa.
And then Dylan's arm.
Just cut off, and it's still firing the gun.
It's still firing the gun around. That was kind of shocking to see that.
Yeah,
that was right after Mac's character gets killed.
Yeah,
because there was some character development I liked. With no one liked Carl Weathers' character. He was like the CIA consultant outsider they didn't totally trust. So, and then they had to learn to trust him as they were fighting for their lives. So I like that they kept some character development as much as they could with a group of 7 guys getting killed one by one. And so, he turns around and is gone.
And then I think he spears him. Oh, and the claw.
He spears him with the claw.
Yeah, that was awesome too.
Like
the weaponry is just so cool in the Predator. Like everything he has, and they expand on it in the later ones. I actually Predator 2 was the first one I saw because it was just on TV and I didn't know what I was watching. But the second one, when I went into this one, I kind of wish I saw this one first, just because the reveal of everything. It is I don't feel like people get nowadays. You can't go. You know, like you said earlier too. Everybody knows what the Predator looks like. Everyone knows what the Predator is. You can't really recreate that unless it's like you're going completely fresh. I've never heard of this going into it.
And I think I read that the opening shot of the Predator spaceship that was, I think, put in later on. So if you didn't have that ship shot coming into Earth, you would have no clue that something was out there.
Honestly, I think it would have been better if they kept it out.
They really should have left that out. Yeah.
Yeah, because somewhere that ship is still on the planet somewhere.
It's like the best way to it's like, just like you said, you got to show this to somebody who hasn't heard of it yet. Like, try to start with this. You got to start them early. It's like,
show it to show it to your kids.
You show it to your kids.
This is like Commando 2.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that.
I mean, I think maybe I don't know. It's 13. I mean, this is.
Oh yeah, I'd say like I saw
with some parental guidance for sure. I mean, there's some.
Like that,
this is my favorite Arnold movie.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Oh wow, cool.
Because he's not a superhero. He's just a guy in trouble, trying to figure out. He's actually smart in this movie, and he's trying to keep the unit together, not go nuts, and make the right decisions. I like the whole military structure of this movie because it's probably as realistic as you can get in an Arnold movie.
Yeah, and the way they all act, like they act like they're all kind of nuts a little bit, but that's just there's in that moment they're so heated up. It's like that's probably how they'd act. I mean, I don't know.
These guys are a bunch of trained. They're the best of the best, pretty much. Like, this is the team that the government, I guess, sent. You know, they're like a mercenary team, I guess.
Sure.
Like a and it works. Like you said, Arnold isn't invincible at all in this. None of them are. They're all the kind of guys that you would see in any other movie, each one, and they would be just wasting everything. And they do for the first 20 minutes of the film, and then they are vulnerable. And you don't, I guess that's another thing. You don't really see Arnold in that kind of area, like, unless it's like another movie that's not an action outright, but he's scared. He's horrified. Like, he's trying to hold his team together and keep them, like, and even he's like, holy shit, we might die. Like, you never see Arnold where he's not just, you know, like every other movie, Commando, him running in, just spraying bullets, making one-liners, murdering people, and then making jokes about it. But this is never, Dutch is a very real person.
Yes, and again, that's why it's almost like this is the most acting Arnold does in his movies, when he's not being... He's being a regular person almost, as much as a trained commando could be. And he gets manhandled by this creature.
Yeah, he gets his ass kicked. Yeah. He's like spitting blood out and everything every time he gets punched and stuff.
And plus his traps, he didn't outmuscle the Predator, he outsmarted the Predator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The closest precursor I've seen, there's a movie called The Most Dangerous Game from like 1932, I think. And it was like that, set in the jungle with traps and trying to outsmart each other. But the person doing the stalking was not an alien; it was a human being, who wanted to hunt, who got bored of hunting animals, so wanted to hunt people as the next sport, basically.
Was it people that got trapped on his island? Was that what it was?
Yeah, he guides ships to get stranded. He causes them to get stranded on his island, and then he hunts them in the jungle. And he says, if you could last until midnight or whatever, it starts at midnight. It's like, if you could last until morning, then you're free to go. So, it's a good movie as like the historical precursor to this. That cover, by the way, the picture of Arnold, that was from, they used it on Contra.
Yeah, they just redrew the faces on there.
The one thing is, too, everybody thinks that the other guy, Lance, is Sylvester Stallone, but it's really just another picture of Arnold.
It is.
Predator, where he's turned to the left. It's both Arnold, but they just put like longer hair on the one, and then they basically kept that the same.
And then Metal Gear is Kyle Reese.
Yeah, Kyle Reese. Because they just. Yeah. I guess that's the. I mean, I've done things like that too, where I've taken pictures and just kind of redid them. But
so the legacy of Predator, you want to say action horror movies? Obviously, you have the 3 or 4 Predator movies and the Alien versus Predator. Crossovers. I guess it's such a almost like a one-shot formula for a movie. It's kind of hard to make movies like this. Where it's almost a reveal that hey, all of a sudden halfway through, it's now a horror movie. It's no longer an action movie.
Even though I don't mind Predator 2, there's really no real sequel to this. I mean, they could not match this first movie.
Predator 2's a bit goofy. It's got some fun stuff in it, but it's pretty damn good. Actually, I wonder if the ship from the first Predator is that wouldn't make any sense actually.
No. I'm waiting for the like Terminator 3 where they ignore everything between two. I'm waiting for this where an older Predator hunts an older Dutch. And originally there was sort of a plan that was going to happen with that, I believe, at one point in time.
That's a missed opportunity.
They wanted to do that.
I do feel like we missed out on a Predator 3 because don't you feel like there could have been a third one at least before they started doing Predators, or
then the Predator.
The Predator,
I just the thing is nowadays I just don't feel. I feel like those movies are just because, oh hey, we need to keep the contract going. We got to make a Predator movie or else we lose it. You know, it's not like I don't feel like you could recapture this.
No,
they had something brand new, and that's what kind of sucks nowadays is there is no real brand new ideas that are being thrown out. It's either a book or it's like...
And plus the setting matters a lot. So Predator 2 is supposed to be LA in the distant or 10 years down the line. The jungle it's almost like its own character in this film. It's scary. You don't know what you're doing. And kudos to John McTiernan and the team for filming in such what I heard were awful conditions in the jungles in Mexico. There was problems with the crew.
Yeah, constant food poisoning. I heard was like a real problem.
That was one thing. Let's see. The one character that gets killed near the end. I can make it.
Oh yeah.
He had to wear long sleeves because he was laying on the ground. It had fire ants eat up his arm.
My God.
So he actually in an interview said he was pissed because he worked out like everyone else and got ripped, and then he had to have like long sleeves on in the movie because his whole arm was just eaten up.
Oh man.
So we're talking the worst conditions for you to actually film it in the middle of the jungle.
I wonder too, like, because I'm sure they all got paid. I wonder, like, when they make a movie like this, if they knew what they had. Like, when you have Arnold and you have a bunch of guys like this, like, did they know Predator was going to be something that we're going to talk about, 30-something years later or whatever? Or like, even, it's
just a one-off Arnold film.
Yeah, like, I always wonder, things like this, like, did they know what they had going on? This idea that they, a couple people wrote or whatever, and hey, we got these guys in the woods and aliens, and it's such a crazy idea, but it became such a classic film that it's iconic. When it comes to action films, you just don't see it anymore. You can't recreate it. The guys nowadays just don't do it.
Yeah. Also, just a fun fact: there's a scene where, like, the helicopter gets like stuck in a tree or whatever, and it's like just in there in the tree. It's still there today, apparently.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah. I mean, double check to confirm, but I heard that it's actually still there in the jungle.
No one got it. They're just like...
Yeah. I mean, people go and take pictures with it and stuff, but it's there, yeah.
Jim Hopper's people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, if you haven't...
They're still there. The team is dead.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, Predator, totally recommend it.
If you haven't seen it, what the hell are you doing right now?
Yeah. You only need to watch the first one, really.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it just never...
Yeah.
It's sad. It's almost sad.
You want to do the Dylan?
Oh, yeah, okay. You son of a bitch.
What's Amanda? Pushing too many pencils?